Hello and welcome to the Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Yes, we're back at it on a daily basis, hopefully, right? Beginning today, Monday, March 25th, 2024. I hope you have been doing well. It's great to see you vicariously through this video camera of sorts. Listen, I've had the opportunity to take a look at this business, to take a look at Stronghold Digital Mining, really with a fresh perspective. And I have to say, I am incredibly proud of this business model, right? When you think about our business and what it has the potential to achieve, it's absolutely phenomenal. Now, here's the thing. You can create a business model that in theory, right, from a hypothetical perspective, is absolutely awesome, right? You plug the metrics into an Excel spreadsheet and you do some computations, right? You run some models and you're like, man, this thing looks to be phenomenal. The challenge for Stronghold Digital Mining, for all of us who are rooting for this company, right, is to translate what is legitimately an award-winning hypothesis, right? This award-winning presentation as to what a potential business model can look like, right? That works beautifully in an Excel spreadsheet, to translate that into the real world that we exist in. And to have that business produce positive cash flow on a relatively consistent basis, quarter in and quarter out, regardless to a large extent, right, of what may be going on in the market as a whole. And I say that because, we truly are this energy arbitrage machine, right? This energy arbitrage enterprise. And, to truly live into that full potential, right, as an energy arbitrage, enterprise, as I've said before, right, we need to be able to take a dollar and at least turn it into $1.01, right? We can't take a dollar and turn it into 10 cents. We can't be in the business of, shrinking capital or otherwise, again, turning a buck into 10 cents, right? That's not, as beautiful as the business model may be, it's not going to translate to the market. I know a big topic that a lot of us have been wrestling with is, hey, what's going on with our stock price? It's obvious that there's a radical disconnect between, this business, right, and how our peers are valued by the market. And it's kind of like, how do we close that gap? I'm not going to necessarily speculate myself here as to why we may be in the situation that we're in. I do think, however, in fact, I know that it's going to really, really help if all of us, with authenticity and with confidence and with just a genuine sense of truth, can say, hey, you know what? Stronghold Digital Mining is a consistently cash flow positive business. We are working on continuing to delever our balance sheet. We've got the money, right, as we learned as a result of our Q4 2023 investor presentation. Hey, look, we've got plenty of liquidity to cover our mandatory amortization payments, right, for the year, right, the rest of the year here in 2024. We've got a game plan to pay off that debt, or at least to reduce it so substantially that it's not even really a question anymore, right? We've got different revenue inputs in place that will help this business generate useful revenue, right? And we also have cost containment in place that will enable this business to ultimately, to produce positive cash flow. I think those two things, a continuing delevering of our balance sheet, which, by the way, we did a phenomenal job. We've so far done a phenomenal job that I don't think we get any credit for this, right? In terms of how we delever that balance sheet, how we I think, opportunistically, very intelligently, right, reacquired Bitcoin mining machines at a fraction of the cost, that it otherwise would have cost us to continue to service the debt that we had as it relates to a bunch of Bitcoin mining machines that we previously had, right? We were able to do some maneuvers that were just brilliant to help us delever some of that debt. And, here we are with about 4.1 exahash of Bitcoin mining capacity and an actual utilization rate, right? The amount of Bitcoin hashing, so to speak, that's taking place, that's upwards of almost 3.9, which again, hey, that's good. right? I mean, it's certainly better than, a much lower number. So I'm glad that we're getting closer and closer to actually being able to hash and to mine with, as close to 100% of our Bitcoin mining installed, capacity. But at the end of the day, I do think that it's important that we generate positive cash flow. Now, we did that in Q4 2023. It appears as if though we are well on our way to doing that now during Q1 2024. However, now in mid to maybe slightly late April of 2024, the Bitcoin halving is going to take place. I, for one, am grateful that the halving is going to take place relatively early in Q2 2024. The reason why is because it's going to then provide us, by the end of Q2 2024, did I say Q2 2022 before? Apologies, there's so many dates and numbers flying around here. But basically, right, at the end of this next quarter, right, Q2 2024, we're going to have some insight as to what Stronghold Digital Mining looks like in a post-halving environment. I think that's going to be important, and I'm grateful in many ways that the halving is happening earlier in Q2 2024 instead of later in Q2 2024, just so that we can have a better sense of like, okay, this is the reality that we're going to be faced with in a post-halving environment as it relates to our revenue input coming from Bitcoin mining. Listen, there's a lot of stuff we need to catch up with in terms of numbers, in terms of operational figures, in terms of just things that I've been observing. I think it's excellent that we have this relationship with Champion, right, a division of Calpine, whereby we can now, I think in a more substantive way, import power from the grid in a somewhat more, dare I say, a visible way, right? Instead of just having to go into the retail market and you don't really know what's going on, right? At least now we have a better sense that, hey, look at worst case scenario, take the wholesale price of electricity, which would be, say, the PJM Penelec or PJM PPNL, like locational marginal price that you see like on the Zyner.com dashboard, right? The so-called grid prices. Add about 12 to that, say at $12 to it, that would be then what we are importing electricity for. And it sounds as if, though, at least one of our two facilities is currently offline. Either Scrubgrass in Western Pennsylvania or Panther Creek in Eastern Pennsylvania, or quite possibly both. I'm not prepared to present the detailed numbers in today's broadcast, but over the past year and a half or so, I've observed that prices of PJM Penelec, right, which is the zone of the grid where Scrubgrass happens to be located, those grid prices have a tendency to be a bit different, let's phrase it that way, from what I've observed in PJM PPNL. So I think there's something interesting to be said to the extent, hey, Scrubgrass is now shut down, right? It's going to maybe come back in the summertime. And, hey, what? So Panther Creek is going to be, generating 100% of its electricity, using it to mine Bitcoin, quite plausibly sending some of, any spare capacity back into the grid. These are all very interesting things just based on some of the observations I've made over time as it relates to grid prices. But we're going to get into that later this week. We're going to be taking a look at hopefully some satellite images a little bit later this week. And I may probably even have a bit of a field trip planned, which I think, we all sort of enjoy doing, and we get a chance to sort of see what's going on, right in real time. And I think that could be kind of fun and interesting as well. Look, at the end of the day, right, we need to be a consistently cash flow positive business. And I know that that's easy to say. I know that's easy to model in an Excel spreadsheet, yet I recognize how much work and effort is involved in making that happen. This is a very, very energy intensive business in the sense that there's just a lot of moving parts to it, right? You know what I mean? This isn't, hey, we're not just kind of like pushing a couple of buttons, sitting back, and some autonomous system is going out there and doing all the work. No, there's a lot of labor involved in this business. There's just a lot of work, just generally, right? So I'm sensitive to that, and I appreciate that, and I acknowledge that. I don't think Wall Street gives a shit about that though. What Wall Street wants to see is a simple number, a positive cash flow number. And I think Wall Street wants to see that quarter in and quarter out. I think Wall Street wants to probably see our leverage come down even further. I jokingly said maybe a number of weeks ago, gosh, we need to have Money Matt, right, our CFO, produce positive, right, results. And, in reality, it's not so much about Matt producing these results. It's not like the board of directors gets together and they say, okay, Matt, we want you to come up with the following numbers. And then Matt goes in there and says, okay, great, I'll come up with these numbers. It doesn't work that way, right? The business itself has to produce these positive results. It's more than just one person. Matt essentially gets to document and report on the actual results of the business, right? If it were only as easy as saying, hey, Matt, we need some positive cash flow from here till the end of the year, well, wow, that would be phenomenal, wouldn't it? If we could just kind of like punch in the numbers and there they are. We need to actually produce these numbers. And there's a myriad of environmental and business, variables that kind of go into this, which make it incredibly challenging. And I acknowledge that. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're doing well, right? We know that we finished 2023, Q4 2023, on a very strong positive note, which is great. We already know, right, based on what we learned during the investor presentation for Q4 2023, that Q1 2024 is looking pretty good from a cash flow perspective, right? So, hey, there's about 7 or so days left in this month, 7 or so roughly days left in this quarter. Let's finish this quarter strong. We're going to get together again tomorrow. We're going to kind of go a little bit deeper into some numbers. I'm going to be making some updates to designer.com dashboard that I should have probably made them already, but I want to be accurate and not just kind of throw something up there and then have to fix it later. But listen, I think there's every reason to be optimistic, every reason to be hopeful, right? But at the end of the day, bottom line, right? There's no escaping this. We can have the most awesome business plan on planet Earth. We can have a business model that will win competitions. We can have a business model that within an Excel spreadsheet will do wonders, right? But, here in the real world, we need to then translate that as best we can. I know it's not easy. I'm not pointing fingers. Look, this is challenging stuff. I get that. Wall Street doesn't really care, right? They just want the end result. And I think what Wall Street's looking for is consistent cash flow positivity. And that's just what it is. And, commensurate to that or along with that, a sense that we are continuing to delever this business. Okay, my friend, it's good to be back. It's good to see you. Hey, let's stay positive. Hey, let's be great. And we'll see each other again tomorrow.